This little video is about how evolutionists love to hide the truth from the world and how they do everything possible to discredit the truth of the Bible. You may have heard about, if you're not a Christian or a fundamentalist Christian, a creationist, you may not have, you may have heard, or may not have heard about how giants once lived in this world and how they were wicked and where they came from and the terrible things they did to this world, and the effects are still being felt to this day. Lots of giant men have been dug up out of this earth then, but seems like every time that happens, the Smithsonian Institute or National Geographic Society has representatives that pop on the scene and either buy or borrow, and they're never seen again, these evidence, these remains of giant human beings. Well, some have been found and gotten in the hands of creationists first, like the footprints at Biloxi, Texas, and other places. There's a few other places where they've survived because they never got in the hands of evolutionists, see, where they'd never see the light of day again. But you see, they'll try everything to discredit anything that has anything to do with the Bible. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's in the Bible, they've got to refute it. That's why they once said Hittites never existed. And then, the Hittite culture was found with archaeology. And, they're like, that's happened many times. They said the same thing about King David. Oh, King David was mythological. A king, he never existed. Yeah, sure. Then they found, an inscription of the House of David on, on the stone, which speaks of the kingdom of David. And same thing happened with Pontius Pilate. The atheist said, "Oh, Pontius Pilate and Jesus Christ both are a fallacy." Then they find all kinds of archaeological evidence for Pontius Pilate, his name inscribed in stone. Anyway, I sent an email off because I had done some research. I sent an email off to a museum which had at one time housed some of these giants found in Native America, which were huge men, red-haired, supposedly, giant men. I mean, I'm talking 10, 12-foot men. And I sent an email asking them why, since their museum had these fossils at one time, where are they now, and can a photograph be found of them? Can they provide me with any kind of a photograph of them? And this is the email I got. I sent this email went to Eugene. This was months ago. Eugene M. Hatton, Ph.D., curator of anthropology, Nevada State Museum, Carson City, Nevada. I emailed him and asked him that. Can you provide images? Are there any photographs online on your website? Do you have anything that you can show us that of these remains? And this was the response I got. I went by the name Matthew. Dear Matthew, the Nevada Historical Society in Reno supposedly had a human skeleton from a population of mythical, and he calls them mythical already. You see how he's trying to discredit red-headed giant cannibals, the Seduca. The skeleton was loaned for display at the St. Louis World's Fair and was never returned, or so the story goes. I don't know if any photographs or documentary evidence of this skeleton exists. It is an oral tradition. Now wait a minute. Wait a minute. Lots of holes here. The local Native American tribes have legends of giants on the fringes of their territories. The best known stories of those are the northern Paiutes. If anything related text from the Native American, I'm attaching related text from our Native American exhibit. We do not have, he didn't. We do not have human remains in our collections, but none of them are giants. We do have, but none are giants. There is both skeletal and archaeological evidence of another prehistoric culture occupying the same era prior to and contemporary with the northern Paiutes. These other people may have been the Seduca, although they were not giants. Sincerely, Gene Hackman. Okay. Now listen, let's go through this email of his real quick and see the hegemony that you'll find in Eugene M. Hatton, Ph.D., curator of anthropology. His email. Okay. He says, purportedly had a human skeleton from a population of mythical red-headed giants, cannibals. The skeleton was loaned for discipline and never returned, blah, blah. So the story goes. No documentary evidence. It's an oral tradition. See how he's trying. It's fake. Never happened. We never had it. Didn't exist. Shut up. Go away. Forget about it. It was a lie. Somebody told you a lie. Never happened. It's a lie. Don't believe it. And then he goes on to say that that it's legend, and that they have anthropological evidence in their museum, but it's not giants, none of it's giants. Now here's my questions to Mr. Hatton. Any museum which has evidence in anthropology, skeletons of any kind, they make a record of it, you see, for insurance purposes. They have to insure it, because if their museum burnt to the ground, they could lose millions and millions of dollars worth of artifacts and not be recoverable. When something is checked into a museum, photographs are made of it. It's measured. Drawings are sometimes made. It's cataloged. Records are made, physical, they're typed up, printed on cards, and they're put away in file cabinets. They have plenty of evidence that they have this artifact. They record this for insurance purposes, and so that they can easily find it if it's in a drawer in a cabinet somewhere. Okay. So he's claiming that they once had it, and now they don't even have a record of it. There's no paper trail. Loaned and never returned. Who was it loaned to? Hey, I'll bet you anything. That part's probably true. And you know who it was loaned to? It was probably loaned to the Smithsonian Institute or the National Geographic Society, and they never returned it. But now he says they don't have any record of it. Yeah, we once had it, but we don't have any record of it. This is the kind of hegemony that you'll hear from every evolutionist scientist in the world. Oh, it never existed. Well, we don't know. Oh yeah, I see the paperwork for that one, but you know that never existed. So it was a mistake, clerical mistake. Or in this case, there is no paper trail. See, as if a museum is going to accept anthropological evidence of anything, a mouse, and not photograph it, not catalog it, not measure it, and not put it away for safekeeping. No paper trail, right? No records. So we don't keep records of nothing, you know, we got. Why would we keep records and paperwork on anything? We just throw it all in a box and forget about it. This is the kind of hegemony that has people brainwashed around the world into believing in evolution. Because if they can get their hands on it, every evolutionist scientist in the world will bury, hide for good, burn, destroy, bake, cook, throw away, toss, shoot to the moon, whatever evidence that supports anything in the Bible that they can. It will disappear forever. Evolution is lies, made knowingly in many cases. If you believe what you're told about evolution, you're believing people who package lies and disseminate them as the truth, and who work as hard as they possibly can, whittle their little fingers to the bone, to try to discredit anything that is mentioned in the Bible. Anything. This has happened to many human fossils of giant men found in North America. There have been at least, from my research, one of a great Christian lady here on YouTube named Karen's Faith. Karen has done a lot of research in this area too, and has found that there are probably at least a dozen or 24 known fossil giants, giant men, at the minimum height of which is 8 feet, and some as high as 16 feet tall, have been recovered from North America alone. None of them are in existence to this day. All we have is accounts, a couple of photographs, newspaper clippings from the time when it was viewed by the public, but they are gone now. I'll bet you anything they're sitting in the basement of the Smithsonian Institute right now, if they haven't been put in a crematorium already. If you believe in evolution, you're doing it because you like the lies.